Yes, I'm going to cross the Tobago, only figuratively. But with me this morning would be Trisha Bukaj Sobas, who is a gospel minister, as well as Michael Stewart, who is the Caribbean coordinator for International Men's Day. And we are talking about Mars versus Venus, gender balance in marriage. Good morning and welcome.
Pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, first I'll start off. It's funny that the name is Mars versus Venus, and then it goes on to say gender balance in marriage. Tell me about this contrast.
It seems like an oxymoron.
A little bit.
Okay, well, firstly, within the context of marriage, there are two dynamics taking place. You have the woman's perspective and you have the man's perspective. And you have to find, as individuals, a way to come together and have a transition taking place where you have two individuals becoming one.
Right. So
The challenge there is the process, the journey to coming to that place.
coming to that state of balance. Tell me, from your perspective, a woman's perspective, your take on the woman's role in marriage and and the partnership of marriage.
Okay. Well, I've been married for 17 years. All right. And my husband and I, we are polar opposites. However, the journey has been very tumultuous. However, our, how to put it, our focus within the marriage is how do I fulfill my roles as a wife and how does my husband fulfill his role as a husband. Um, as a woman, I must say that it has been an enjoyable experience because it is not in isolation of what my husband brings to the table or what I bring to the table. We both are contributing towards the marriage. As far as roles are concerned, are we talking about cooking, washing, cleaning, ironing, bringing up the children, nurturing? Yes, all of that is part of it. But as I was reminded by my dear friend Mr. Stewart recently, there is something called responsibility. So, in this new landscape we are living in, we are seeing that the women are out there working, yes? And they're doing same jobs like men sometimes. They're working the same hours, sometimes longer. Some of them are working for more money than their husbands. But there must be the understanding of the woman's role
I want to bring
within.
in Michael Stewart a little bit because you said some very important things there, and you mentioned some of the perceived traditional roles of women in marriage. I want to know Michael's take on that and what he feels about that kind of old time mentality toward the roles in marriage. What the woman should do and what the man should do, because times have changed, and with that mentalities must also change. So I want to know Michael Stewart's take on that, on those traditional roles you have mentioned.
My personal belief is that roles, just like in a play, a drama, or a movie, roles can always change. One time you'll see Harrison Ford carrying a particular role of a president in one movie, in another role he may be a policeman. So roles can always change, and in the relationship you can always change roles. When we get stuck on roles that the man must only do the outside work and the woman must always do the washing and the cooking and so on, when those roles begin to change, it creates a certain amount of crisis. So roles can change, but responsibility must remain constant. So if an employer goes and takes the role of a cashier in his own business, that's okay. But the responsibility of the business must always be his. It must never be transferred to the cashier. And so in the relationship in the home, you must know who is ultimately responsible for certain things that must ensure that the home runs with a balance.
I think let me just weigh in a little bit here. Still speaking on the topic of the rules now. again, as you mentioned, the traditional roles are, you know, archaic in nature. You know, the philosophy of it is a little bit archaic, and we are in modern times now. What's some advice you would give to newly married couples, and maybe even the couples who have been married for a while, that may still have that mentality toward so-called traditional roles?
Well, I don't know if archaic is the word we want to use. I'm married now 33 years, and the archaic roles still work for us, where I have a responsibility that I go out and I would bring in the bacon, so to speak, and we still have my wife doing the nurturing and supporting of the family, and that works well for us.
Right.
For other people, they would want it to work differently. And so
That's
we have
right.
to allow those roles to work according to your
And
specific scenario without having one person saying it works for me and so therefore it should not work for you.
all right. Well, you know, there's a lot to be discussed, and you know, I want to wish you the best, Trisha Bukaj Sobers, Gospel Minister,
Yes.
and Michael Stewart, Caribbean Coordinator of International Men's Day. Definitely a lot to be discussed. We have to leave it right there because Lisa has another guest waiting patiently
I
to
do.
start this new segment. So
And
thank you
this-
very much.
And that is such